Hey everyone, so in the last video I showed you how to cut and layer the cardstock for that Mad Hatter design. So now I'm going to talk about the print and cut. I used Mickey Mouse examples at the end of that video, so I'm going to use Goofy here in this tutorial. You just go to Google, type in whatever character or image you're looking for, go to images. I use this one right here. It's a really good, clean, clear photo of him. Some of these are small, and so when you go to print them, they can come out blurry. So just try and find the best image you can. Right click, save image as. I went ahead and made a folder for my daughter, save some stuff in here. So once you have it saved to your computer, you want to go into the studio, file, open. Here's our Goofy. And now the very first thing that I like to do is the cut line. That's one of the most important parts. Because this is just an image, if you go over here to your cut settings, it's automatically a no cut because it's just an image. And you want to keep it that way, because if it were to be on, this is what happens. You have this rectangle box that it wants to cut around the image, and we don't want that. We want to create our own cut line that goes all the way around his body. So keep that no cut. And to create our own cut line around his body, you need to go up here to the trace. We'll hit select trace area, highlight all of Goofy. I like to go ahead and just fill it all the way in. And once you've got him all filled in, we're just going to hit the trace outer edge, because we just want a line that goes around his body. So now we have this nice clean cut line that is perfectly Goofy shaped. And what you will do is keep these layered together and cut and print and cut them, so it'll cut all the way around him perfectly. Now you can either cut right up against him like that, or you can do a like a white border around him. I think I did a white border when I did a print and cut. And to do that, you just set Goofy to the side. We'll select our cut lines, go to offset, hit the offset, and so now we're making basically just a bigger version of the cut line. So you would take that smaller inner one, delete it, and then put Goofy back in. So now when it would cut, you'd have this little white border all around him, and that's totally up to you how you want to do it. You can either do that, or if you wanted to create like a heart shape around him or a circle and cut like that, it's totally up to you. There's so much you can do with it. Once you select your cut line, I like to go ahead and select both and come up to the align and hit center, so that way he's perfectly centered, and go ahead and just group it together. That way he's easier to move around. And now the next step is to get him ready for printing. So we need to come up to our page settings. I'm going to be using my regular printer with regular copy paper. So I'm going to have to click this drop down arrow and click letter. And this is the size of computer paper. So just select, whatever kind of size paper you'll be printing on. And then once we have selected the size, we need to go to the registration marks. We need to turn this part on to type 1. And now we have this. You need to select how big you want your image to be. I don't need him to be really big since this is just an example. So I'll just keep him kind of smaller here. I like to get up in this corner as much as possible. If I'm not cutting a whole bunch of stuff, you can cut multiple things at once. So I'm not wasting all of this paper. And then the only thing is these red lines here, you have to keep your images within those red lines. If he's out here sticking, it's not going to cut it. So you just have to be inside. You can adjust these over here on the side. You can move these. I like to push them back a little bit, so that way I have as much room as possible to fit on one piece of paper. But I have noticed with my printer, I don't know if there's just something wrong with mine or what, But I have noticed that if my bottom inset is all the way down here at the bottom, my printer likes to cut off this tiny little line down here, because when you print this, it's going to print this line, this square, and then this black line and goofy. And it does that because then the Silhouette is going to read these later when you go to cut it, so it knows exactly where goofy is. And when it cuts this off like that, my Silhouette can't read it, and it doesn't know where goofy is. So I like to raise mine up a little bit, just because my printer doesn't like me. So once you've got this all figured out, and you have him sized down, placed where you want, and if you've got multiple images, that's fine. You'll go ahead and you'll hit the print, select your printer. I got an HP, hit print, however many pages you want. So I will go ahead and I will print him out, and then I'm going to show you how we load him up into the Silhouette and cut him. We'll go into the cut settings. Just make sure that you select, I have mine under copy paper because that's what I'm going to be cutting. You can either follow what the Silhouette suggest to use. I tend to use my own choice of settings just because sometimes my blade is dull or what have you, so it's, you'll figure out what settings work best for you. So I'll go ahead and print this out, and then I will record how to load him up and get him cut. So after you've set your registration marks and you sized him out, select your cut settings, go ahead and send it to your printer. And you'll see here that it prints goofy and then a little square in the top left, another registration mark at the bottom, and then another one at the top right. And those are so that the Silhouette can read it, so it knows where goofy is. Once your ink is dry, go ahead and line him up in the top left corner of your mat. Make sure you push it down real good so it doesn't have any issues cutting. Load it up into your Silhouette. Make sure you adjust your blade and everything. Load it up, go ahead and tell the Silhouette to cut. It'll go ahead and start reading your registration marks, so then it knows where goofy is. It'll cut him out, and then once he's cut, you can just go ahead and unload him, peel up the paper. I use my little scraper tool to get him up, and you have yourself a print and cut goofy. Thank you guys so much for watching. Here's a little blooper for you. First time I tried to do it, I ran out of printer ink and it was a mess. And my cat decided to say hello. He's my little assistant. But in our next video, I'm going to do a curved text for Santa plates. So make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much.